Hi, my name's Irrelevant, and on a previous episode I was tinkering with this old Compaq DeskPro machine, and I started it up for the first time in 16 years. And it was glitchy, but it did work, and we did briefly get into Windows 2000, which was installed on it. In today's episode, I'm going to actually do something with this thing. It's a perfect candidate to show you what it's like to install and work in DOS. Now, some of the glitches with this machine is I couldn't get into BIOS setup. There's a reason for that. And the BIOS battery was dead, and it's fixed onto the board. It's soldered on. I can't get it off. Windows wanted to stop working. Now, I've pulled that drive, and I've installed a fresh drive, a Western Digital 3 GB. We also had a RAM glitch, but installed is the 64 megabytes of that Hyundai RAM we found. If you look here, this is my solution to the BIOS battery. That's a AA battery holder that I've connected to these wires and plugged into the extension battery port. So now the BIOS, or the board, has 3 volts of standby power, and things have managed to maintain itself. Now, after doing some testing on this machine, I've upgraded the video card. That's a Matrox Millennium card. Another one that I had, for some reason I had 2 of them. This one doesn't have the RAM upgrade. It's only 2 megabytes of RAM, but it's still better than what was there. And then here, something else I had kicking around the archives is an ISA SCSI controller. This thing has plenty of ISA slots, so that would be ideal. The ISA SCSI controller is important because it allows me to use the SideQuest drive, which I can connect it to this rig here, which is a perfected Windows 98 machine I've been working on. And it has a SCSI controller, and it also supports USB 2.0, so I can go on the proper computer, download the stuff that I need, USB it over to this system, then SCSI it onto the SideQuest, and then SCSI the SideQuest to this, and if I need to put anything on the system that's bigger than a floppy, well, that's how I get it on there. It's quite the rigmarole. So meanwhile, this thing's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and put it together and get it ready to use. All right, we got it set up and looking presentable now. So we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. I've set up an LCD monitor because they just photograph better, and I don't have anything resembling VGA screen capture to work with, so this is what I have to do. Now, one of the first things you notice is there's no way to get into BIOS. There's no delete prompt, and in actuality, this machine uses an F10 prompt, and it would usually show up down here. After doing some research, I found out it's because this system doesn't have BIOS. Would you believe that? It's not on the board. It was actually software that got installed onto the hard drive, and I had to go and find that software. Unfortunately, it's the wrong version, so it doesn't quite work correctly, but it does work. So it stops the system from glitching out and behaving badly. And here we go. The process is as such. This hard drive doesn't have a diagnostic partition. All right, let's make a diagnostic partition. That's the BIOS partition. Please ensure that the diskette is inserted properly. Yes, it's good. Now you see we get the F10 prompt, but it's not ready yet. If I try to run that, it's gonna crash. It hasn't installed the software yet. It just made the necessary partition. Now, this isn't typical to a lot of machines. Even machines going back much older than this didn't have this. This is something specific to this all-in-one system. And even though the software I'm installing here isn't fully compatible with this computer, it doesn't really matter because you know how these all-in-one systems are. There really wasn't much to them. There wasn't many options to change. Now it wants the second disk. It wants disk 2 first. And of course, reading off a floppy disk is a slow process. And now we put disk 1 back in. Installation of the partition is complete. Now we're done with these guys. It's gonna reset. Oh. So now, when it gives us the F10 prompt, we can press F10 and it gives us this, which is the same thing we just saw. Now, we can see various stuff like system information, and even that takes time. Oh my, does it ever. System It says it's a Pentium with MMX. It's an AMD K6, but it's got the megahertz, right? 200 megahertz. Secondary cache 512. Indeed, we have a cache upgrade. We got the serial number. System speed is set to high. I didn't know this had the option to change it. From system board 354. Maybe that'll help me figure it out. It recognizes the date as 1900, but that's not the case. Even though I couldn't get into BIOS to set the time and date, once I got into a DOS, just boot off a DOS disk, they have programs in there that'll let you set the time and date and update it in BIOS, much the same way that if you set your time and date in Windows, it updates the BIOS. Yes, it recognizes the graphics card. Storage. It sees the hard drive. It sees the CD-ROM. Here we go, System ROM, 586M, 11/18/1997. November, it's October. Next month will be this computer's 23rd birthday. Well, that's enough of that. If we go to computer setup, which would be our normal BIOS setup program, we get this error. Setup not applicable for this type of machine. Oh well. So now what do we do? Well, I dug deep into my storage to get all this hardware and find it to make these series of videos. And of course, the deeper I got, the more I found, and I found an actual copy of MS-DOS on disk. I had the originals, but I made copies of them for safekeeping, and that's a good thing because I lost the originals. But we go ahead and we pop in disk 1, and then we're gonna reset, and it's gonna boot off that disk eventually. And there we have it. So now the process is, I do believe it will be set up, just like that. And we're gonna time this to see just how long it takes. To set up MS-DOS now, press enter. Configure allocated space. Oh yeah, we have to make a partition. The drive's completely blank. I'm sure it's gonna do it for us automatically, and well, you don't get to see the fdisk process yet. Setup will start your computer. After making a partition, it has to restart. Now, normally, if you wanted to allocate space manually, you'd run this program called fdisk. And now, this will allow us to make hard drive partitions. This is a 3 gig hard drive. DOS doesn't support 3 gig, but it will support 2 gig. So, display partition information, press 4. Okay, good. It made a 2048 size partition. 2 gigabytes is 2048 megabytes. So it used the maximum amount of space it would allow. So now let's run setup again and do this proper. Oh yes, it has to format the drive before we can use it. And that takes a little bit of time. Fortunately, 2 gigabytes isn't that big in the big scheme of things, so it won't take that long. Not like formatting a 4 or 8 terabyte, right guys? And lap. That took 5 minutes and 5 seconds. Oh, I don't remember this. Country. Oh, we gotta go find it on this big ass list. Canada French? Oh boy. It doesn't have Canada in here. We have to commit to being in the United States. Whatever. CDOS, yes. And now it's going to actually start loading it off the disk onto the computer. Wonder if I can get you a bit of a floppy drive ASMR, even though the PC itself is probably louder. Now's a great time to fill out your registration card. Days before the internet. Oh, time for disk 2. Increase your hard disk space using drive space. I forgot that existed, yeah. That was a program you could run, and it would run in the background, and it would automatically compress data as you read and write it to the hard drive. Once upon a time, you maybe couldn't afford as big of a hard drive as you needed, so you had to resort to such things. But of course, as you can imagine, it would slow down your system. MemMaker. If you have a 386 or higher processor, optimize your PC memory by typing MemMaker at the command prompt. I don't remember what that does. And this is definitely higher than a 386. It's probably another thing that kind of boosts things up. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a memory compression tool. Ha! Disk 3. We're 2/3 there, folks. Remove all floppies and press enter. Restart. Starting MS-DOS. Is this it? High Mem is testing extended memory. That was a thing that took a while. And there you have it. That's time. Total time, 13 minutes and 29 seconds it took to install DOS. That's actually not bad. You'd be hard-pressed to install any modern program in that time, especially a copy of Windows. Windows installs pretty fast these days compared to like the hour plus it used to, but that's pretty good. It took us 1 minute 59 seconds to partition the drive and reboot, 5 minutes and 5 seconds to format the drive, 5 minutes and 41 seconds to actually install DOS. Not bad. Simple can be good sometimes. So now we get to use the system now, right? Nope. We gotta install drivers. Back in the day, anytime you bought a CD-ROM, it came with a driver diskette. And I have a few of these, and this is the generic one that I used. So now we pop this thing into the A drive, and we have to, it's all typing from here on in. We have to go A:, hit enter. Now it's gonna read that drive. Now we press dir, and it tells us what's on that drive. There's the list. Now, install. All right, English. High performance CD-ROM is coming. Oh boy. Go. CDOS, yes. CD-ROM, sure. Installer will save old files autoexec.bat so you can recover them, sure, yep. Modification complete. And there we go. So now we should have a C drive. And if we go dir, there's our C drive. That's everything that's on it right now. And we might have a D drive. Yes. The G drive is the SciQuest Easy drive that I'm using to get stuff on here. Now we're gonna have a conflict here because we're gonna reset, it's gonna load the CD-ROM driver, but we might have difficulty getting onto it because they're both gonna try to be a D drive. Oh, okay. And there's the CD-ROM driver. Oh, E, okay. It detected we had a D and it automatically made it an E. Excuse me. Let's pop a little disky disk in there and see if it's gonna work now. So we have our C, we have our D. Our D is still what we expected it to be. And now we have an E. Aha, it's a copy of Final Doom. I'm not gonna install it yet. Now, what we're gonna do that's gonna complicate things is we're gonna go back to the C and run fdisk. You see, there's more space on this hard drive. I might as well set it up so I can use it, right? Of course. So back at fdisk for display partition information, we have that little thing that the system disks did. There's our DOS now. Press escape. We're gonna create another partition. Now we can try to do it primary. No, it's not gonna let us do it. So we have to create an extended DOS partition. 957 megabytes. That's the size of the other one. In retrospect, I should have split them half and half, but oh well. And there it is. No logical drives defined. Aha, some other extra process. I'll leave you to it. Oh, look at that. It made it an E drive. You see we're having a trouble here. And it wants to restart, which fortunately wasn't as irritating back then if the system boot fast, but oh boy, if it posted like those other systems I was working on, we'd be in for a fun time, wouldn't we? Ah, this is where we have the problem. Not enough drive letters available. Yeah, this is where we gotta start hacking the system. Now, if I recall correctly, we have to go edit config.sys, and you know, somewhere in here, we need to add the command line last drive equals, you pick a letter. Z, okay, we'll have Z amount of letters to work with. Then we, hello. Oh, Alt, exit, save, yes, and reboot once again. Remember kids, you had to know how to do all this. I guess this is where the term computer geek or computer nerd came from, because you really had to know your stuff to get these machines running back in the day. Oh, it automatically set it to drive F. That's good, because there is a way to manually set your drive letter for your disk. And that's actually what I did in testing. But it looks like that's not a problem here. It's automatically detecting my drives, and we should be good. So we have an E. Oh yeah, we have an E partition, but it's not formatted yet. In order to use that space, we gotta go format E, but I wanna add a name to it. So format E, and I believe the switch is volume name, and we're gonna call it extra. All data would be lost. Well, there's nothing on it. Oh, how long is this gonna take? Let me guess, about half as long as a 2 gig? I accidentally reset my stopwatch. Oh well. Now that's done, we have the C drive. We have the D drive, which is the SciQuest drive. The SCSI card automatically tells the computer there's a drive there. So now we have an E drive, and that's empty. Probably not gonna need it. And now, if we pop this disk in, we should have an F drive. Indeed we do. Now, you're probably running into this problem where it's like, oh boy, there's all a bunch of stuff in there, I can't see it all on the screen. Well, if you want a different layout, you go dir/w, and then it'll do it that way. Otherwise, you can go dir/p, and then it'll hold and continue. I personally like dir/w. So, well, what's next? How about a mouse? Mouse and DOS? Yeah, they actually do. Good old American Online disk. Well, it's got some mouse drivers I found. So we go to A, dir, yeah, mouse.com, mouse.sys, install.bat is a batch file I made, so that if I do this, it's gonna automatically copy those mouse dealers over to the C drive. Now, it's not gonna work right away. I could just run mouse.com and it would work, but if we want it to happen automatically, well, we have to do some modifications still. So we go back to the C drive, we go edit, auto exec.bat, and then somewhere in here, pretty much anywhere, we're gonna go c./dos/mouse.com. Escape, exit, yes, save, and reset. And sure enough, there it goes, it runs the mouse driver. So what do you do with a mouse driver in a text-based operating system? Well, now that the system's ready to run, it does have some very basic programs. Edit is one of them. You can pretty much do word processing in here. I think there even is the option to print. Yeah, there it is. And if you had a very basic dot matrix parallel printer of the era, it would pretty much work without the need to install any extra drivers. But it would be very basic text. So let's grab the mouse. Oh, and sure enough, we got a little pupper moving around here. Look at that, isn't that novel? And of course, there are some games, like Command & Conquer is a DOS game that would work under here. You wouldn't be able to play it unless you had a mouse driver. I'm not sure if the game has a mouse driver built in. But we can just go and exit now. For the most part, there is no mousing in the main system here. So, we got a DOS system, it's all set up, it's all ready to go. Well, what do you do with a drunken DOS box early in the morning? What else? Install Doom. Doom 2 to be specific. So, back into the A drive, let's get our stopwatch going. We can probably guess what the command's gonna be, but we'll look at the dir, and there it is, install.bat. So we press install, and we press start the stopwatch, and install, drive to install to. Okay, C, directory. I am actually going to put it in a subdirectory because I have other dooms to go in here. Directory does not exist, created. Yes, directory is invalid. Doesn't like it, whatever. Doom 2, giver, yes. They have this nice little installer here. Actually shows you the progress quite nicely. You can watch how much of one disk is going and then the full percentage. Oh, disk 2 now. And now disk 3. Disk 4. You know, it feels like it takes forever, but it's really not that long. But for some reason, it's just more boring than modern games. Maybe it's because there's no fancy installer or cinematic or web stream. And finally, disk 5. This squeaky chair makes for some great ambience, right? Enter disk 1 again. Okay, gotta go in a circle here. Woo, look at that go. I think it copied all the files over and now it's like decompressing them or something. Ah, right into setup. We can do mouse. Playback device. Sound Blaster compatible 220. Sure. Sound effect device. Sound Blaster compatible 220. We'll guess these numbers. Save settings and run Doom 2. Oh, look at that. Oh boy, there is mouse. And only because we have mouse drivers. Look at how rough and pixelated it is. Where's strafe? Oh boy. I'm gonna have to reset the controls on this. So, it took 8 minutes and 51 seconds to install Doom. Or Doom 2, that is. Doom 1 was a bit smaller. I think it was only 3 discs. I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can sort out the controls on this. Let's see, forward, W, backward, turn left, turn right is mouse, strafe left, A, strafe right, D, fire is gonna be space, use is gonna be F like I'm used to, and yeah, that was easy. Oh yeah, we got strafe now. Geez, you know, this game is old and we could have had WSAD the whole time, but we were playing it like freaking cavemen who didn't know how to game yet. I wish there was a way to improve these graphics though. Maybe tweak up the mouse sensitivity here. What options do we have in game? Oh, look at that. We do have mouse sensitivity in game. Graphic detail high, low, high, low. I guess that's it. There's no way to set resolutions unless you have a newer version of the engine. Oh boy, this guy's taking a licking. I wish I had this music recorded. So what next? Well, you see, if I go to the D drive, the SideQuest drive, I have a little something in there called Ultimate Doom. So we're gonna go to C. We're gonna take an already working copy of Doom and we're gonna just transfer it. This is the process of moving files. First, you had to establish a directory. Oh yeah, you're stuck in a directory, you go cd ... and that goes back. And then make directory, Doom, make directory, Ultimate Doom. Oh, I forgot to go into the Doom directory before I made the Doom directory. You gotta follow all that's going on with your own mind. So you gotta go cd Doom, then make directory udoom. Now if I go dir, there's gonna be a udoom, cd. Now I might be able to move Doom 2 directory to c./Doom, unable to open source. Okay, you can't just move a directory. You gotta make a new directory. So I need to go into the Doom directory, dir, make another directory called Doom 2. Fortunately, there's no dependencies that, you know, in a registry so that if you move stuff around, it's not gonna work. That wasn't as much of a problem back then. So I go in there, sure enough, there it is. So if I cd out of there, dir, in our main C, we cd into Doom 2, all right? Dir, yes, that's where it all is. Then we go move ***, which will move all the files to c./Doom/Doom2. Unfortunately, because it just has to rewrite the index, that doesn't take a lot of time. So now if we look in this directory, it's empty. We can cd out, we can delete Doom 2, not Doomj, delete Doom 2. Yes, dir, Doom 2 is gone. Doom 2 is supposed to be gone. Why is it? Okay, we seem to have an anomaly. How the heck do you delete a directory? Oh boy, fun. Okay, well we got some stray nuisance directories anyway. cd Doom, dir, cd udoom, dir. Nothing in there because we have to go to the F drive. Dir. No, we have to go to the D drive. See, you gotta remember what the frick you're doing. There's no visual. You gotta be sharp. You gotta be sharp. You gotta follow what's going on. Okay, in the D drive, dir, yes, it's Ultimate Doom. We go CD Ultima 1 to do dir. Okay, that's what we're looking for right there. So we go copy start to c./doom/udoom, and it's transferring off the SideQuest Easy drive and onto the hard drive now. So, dir, how's my setup? We'll check our setup, configure controller, keyboard. Yes, it's all the same. The Ultimate Doom, where they re-released original Doom, they added an extra chapter. But one thing you notice is they made nicer textures, and they might have even modified on the levels a bit. I recall some extra secrets, maybe. It actually even looks a little bit better. Yeah, you see in here, it didn't used to be this colorful in the original Doom. Now listen to how basic that audio sounds. That's actually the video card's MIDI does not sound as good as they intended the track to be. That's the funny thing about a game like this and the way it used to work in audio is it would sound different on different computers. Man, I wish I knew I could have keyboard and moused this and WSID'd this before. Par 30 seconds. I guess if you really wanted to. This was honestly my favorite version of Doom. So, imagine we wanted to value add now. We got a little bit more we can do here because on F is a copy of Final Doom. What some people don't know about Doom is the engine was mostly the same across platforms, and in actuality, the game was something called a WAD file. Now, Final Doom wasn't Doom 1, it wasn't Doom 2, it was almost like a Doom 3 that they didn't call Doom 3, and it added 2 whole new games to it, TNT and Plutonia. So we could go CD, TNT, and if we dir in there, C, TNT, create it. Oh, well, it goes fast off a disk, right? Woohoo! Oh, hi, Yoshi. Keyboard and mouse. Gotta set everything up all over again. Let's see if this looks any better. It looks like the same engine as Ultimate Doom. Look at that. Did you guys even know this version of Doom existed? Some of you do, some of you don't. Yeah, it all pretty much looks the same. You're in another base and you start off with a Zerk. Oh, hold on, there's a Pinky. Usually you can't punch those guys out, right? Oh. Uh-oh. I ran out of friggin' Skookum. I think you get the point. So getting back to the hack that I was telling you about, if we do look at this directory, we will find tnt.wad and plutonia.wad. So here is what we do. We copy plutonia.wad over to c./tnt instead of installing the game all over again. Then we go to C, cd-tnt, dir. Oh, it appears to use the Doom 2 engine, doom2.exe. Okay, now there is a command line that will cause it to open a different game file. And if we go edit, and we will punch in doom2.exe file plutonia.wad, and then we're gonna go ahead and save as, and we're gonna call it pluto.bat. Exit. Now if we type in Pluto, it should load up that WAD. It's going to give us a warning. The Plutonia experiment. And I shouldn't have to reconfigure the controls because same engine. Yes, I remember now why I preferred TNT. I prefer the more futuristic space station levels over the hell levels, to be honest. Oh, this is going rather well. Now, pure DOS. What other pure DOS games do we have here? I think in D. This, to the best of my knowledge, is a good copy of Duke 3D. Once again, we copy. Now, we've played a lot of Duke 3D on the channel already, I think. Or maybe we haven't. I don't remember. I'm gonna play it again just so you can hear the difference in the audio, because it's rather mind-blowing. Sound setup. Choose sound effect card. Generic sound blaster. Choose these settings and continue? Yeah, I'm sure. Is it gonna work? Yeah. Music. Again, sound blaster. You hear that? That's not what we remember Duke 3D sounding like. Or at least not what I remember. The AWE32 was one of the better Sound Blaster cards, and what made it better was its rendering of MIDI. So out here at Duke, you had VESA mode, and you could bump up the resolution in a way that I wish I could in Doom. And this is one of the reasons why I put in a different video card, because once I turned on that VESA mode to get the high resolution, it was not working right. Oh, listen to how rough that music is.
Piece of cake. Damn, those alien bastards are gonna
the mouse works well.
My ride.
No strafe though. Oh wow, listen to the music. Yeah, it's rough, but the mouse works good in here, unlike the other system. And I still can't deal with no strafe. Yeah, these controls make no sense. Oh. Runs well though. This game was known to run on a Pentium. Had no problem running on the Pentium 100. All right, I'm gonna try one more game because it is nostalgic of the DOS environment. For the record, even though I'm doing stuff like this, I did have the original copies of all these games. I had Duke 3D, I have Final Doom, I have Doom 2, I had Doom 1 somewhere. I just made copies of the discs for safekeeping, which is good because my Command & Conquer discs are completely shot. I'm so glad I imaged them when I did. All right, F. Der. Probably also an install. No, install. And I remember this one actually had an awesome install.
This program will install Command & Conquer to the following directory.
I don't know what else to tell you, folks. That's what it's like installing and working on DOS. And here we have a pure DOS machine. It's funny because I have this nice compact monitor that would look very good. Oh, you know what? Let's show you real quick before we go just what it would look like. Gotta hoist this piece now. Oh, that caused displacements in the space-time continuum. There you have it. It'd be nice if I had a matching keyboard and mouse. And I think I did have a compact PS2 keyboard at one point, but those are mostly gone now. It kind of squares up nice, but you know, this monitor would not have been in the same pay grade as this PC, I'm sure. So this isn't necessarily matching, but you know, kind of matching. So that's nice. But there you have it. A Compaq DeskPro 2000 from 1997. Started up for the first time in 16 years, and now it's a pure DOS gaming machine. You know, I'm pretty sure I have a copy of Windows 3.11 somewhere, but I see absolutely no point because you can't do anything in it. Any of these DOS games that I would try to run, you'd pretty much just have to log off Windows and go back to DOS. Yeah, once again, I don't know how to end these things, so I hope you enjoyed. If it pleases the court, I have a Patreon, but No shutdown for these puppers.